Hello, it's me, and welcome back to Tech Corner. Once again, we're in the amazing Studio B of Metropolis, and today I'm going to be talking to you about microphones, especially vocal microphones. So for any of you out there that record vocals in any form, whether that's lead vocals, backing vocals, voiceover, anything like that, today I'm going to be talking to you about your various options and hopefully answering a few questions as to what microphone should I get. The first microphone we're going to talk about is probably the most common microphone known to man or woman or dog, whatever. This is the SM58. This is my SM58. I'll just hold it towards that. You can just see how disgusting and grimy that is. This is a pride and joy of mine. These are indestructible. I got this third hand about 20 years ago and it still works. This is a dynamic microphone, meaning that it does not need any additional power. Now, you may notice these microphones from people being live on stage. These are a classic dynamic microphone. Now, in theory, this is no different to those speakers that are behind me, the Yamaha NS10s, the black ones with the white cone. This is a backwards speaker. That is a backwards microphone. Let me show you. Don't worry, I'm not going to break it. This is the inside of an SM58 microphone. This now kind of looks like its very close relative, the SM57, which is commonly used for snare drums and things. The only thing that gives it away as an SM58 is this, the head shell bit. Oh, let's ruin that. Oh, what? You plug this in with an XLR lead on the back. Again, this camera angle for you. Once this is plugged in, you talk into it. It sends vibrations into electrical currents and then comes out as noise to me and you. You could, in theory, plug an output from your speakers into one of these and hear stuff coming out the other end. This works just like, let me put this back together quickly. Headphones. This and that are pretty much the same. Back in the day, I used to use these, not these exact ones, obviously these are from here, but I used to use a pair just like this as a microphone when DJing. So I'd have my headphone on, DJing, doing what I'm doing and stuff, and then I would unplug the headphones, plug it into the mic and start talking, because it is a backwards speaker. Dynamic microphone, works exactly the same. This works with the polar pattern cardioid, meaning it will only pick up signal with something that goes into it from the front. Not from the side, not from the back, not from over there, not from over here, here. It has to be here. If I was to put this slightly off axis, you then wouldn't hear my voice that well. This is because it is a cardioid polar pattern. This being dynamic also means that it doesn't need external power, meaning that it is lower in volume and it can also take higher sound pressure levels. This is why you see this a lot on stage. It is directional for the vocalist and they can really scream down it if they want to. I don't suggest screaming down any microphone though, please don't do that. So this is a standard SM58 dynamic microphone. This is excellent for guide vocals, demo vocals, chilling on the couch, just getting a general vocal down. However, many a record have been made with these as the final vocal. Now, let's look at a different type of microphone. Let's look at a condenser microphone. Bam. Condenser microphone. This is obviously the box, but this is a microphone I bought from home called the Bluebird by the company Blue. So let's open it up. Nice little packaging there. This is the cardioid only Bluebird microphone from Blue. As you can see, it's nice and vintage looking. It's got a very nice aesthetic to it. This is mainly for vocal use. It is marketed as a vocal microphone, mainly because of its polar pattern and its frequency response. Now, the difference between this one and this one is quite drastic in terms of its tonality and how it works. This one needs power. This one needs something called phantom power that runs at 48 volts. You might see this on your audio interface or on a mixing desk. In order to get level out of this and be able to hear the microphone, you need to give this external power. This is what's going to give it the volume needed in order to be audible. This one, don't need any power. You can just scream down it and it can take abuse and give you volume. This, however, not very good to scream in. You can ruin this by screaming down it. This I've had for around about 10 years now, and it is a very good, sturdy, durable, reliable microphone. Some of you that have had lectures with me online will see that this is the microphone that I use for my lectures. So let's talk about how this one works. I don't know if you can see through the light shining there, it's probably not picking that up, But how this works is it has a diaphragm in there. Sound goes in, vibrates the diaphragm, that transmits into electrical energy, into voltage, and then further down the chain gets bumped up the volume with the 48 volts power to give us our level. This cannot handle the amount of SPL, sound pressure level, as a dynamic microphone. For instance, I could put this one on a kick drum, or a snare drum, or scream down it, or shout, or throw it at the wall. Please don't throw it at the wall. This will probably still work afterwards. If I do that with this one, problem. Now the tonality of these two are very, very different. This has a duller tone to it, meaning that you can have it closer to your mouth, close to proximity, and it's still going to give you a warm tone with smooth, high frequency response. This microphone is going to give you a much clearer high end because of its frequency response. So, for things like ballad style vocals or main lead vocals on a recording in a studio, this is your best bet. For live purposes, even though this is still cardioid, I wouldn't necessarily choose something like this, mainly because it is so delicate compared to this. Again, look how battered it is. It's wonky, it's a mess. This microphone has seen things. Now there's another type of microphone called ribbon. Now these use a completely different technology in order to work, and these are the most delicate of all microphones. I'm not going to pick one up or touch one here because they're very expensive and I can't afford to pay for it if it breaks. There's a 100% chance that I would drop it if I picked it up. So, recording. How can we sort out how to record these two types of microphones professionally? Follow me. So here we are in the live room of Studio B. As you can see, I have a SM58 set up on a microphone stand. With an SM58, you can pretty much get away with speaking into it this close. This is pretty close. However, the type of microphone that this is, as long as you are talking into that end of it, you can pretty much shout into this and it's going to be able to handle the sound pressure level. You can also use something like this. These are called windshields or shields. I just call them afros because they look like an afro. You can place this on the top of the microphone like this. What this will do is it will get rid of some of that really close, essy, plosive, sibilant sound. It's going to absorb those frequencies so you can be even closer to it and still get a nice, clean tone. Setting up a microphone like this is extremely simple. Dynamic microphones, you don't necessarily need that much stuff to go on. Do you know what I mean? It's not much planning. As long as the microphone fits in the clip, the microphone is sturdy, you're okay. The one thing to remember about this is if you move slightly off or slightly away from the center of the microphone, your volume will go down. This is why you see this microphone a lot in people's hands. So let's talk about that. Let's take this out of its clip. Let's take this off. And I'm just going to hold this like a normal microphone. This is a good way to hold a microphone, like this. Doing it like this is shocking. Please don't ever hold your microphone like this. If you hold it like this, your frequency response is going to be drastically different and it's going to sound dark and not very nice. You may see in some forms of metal, people like to scream like pigs. If you want to do that, you can kind of get away with holding it like this because that's kind of the tone. If you want to get a nice, clean, open vocal with an SM58 or a dynamic, make sure you hold it on the neck, not on the head. So let's move on to the condenser. There we go, the blue, like we spoke about before. However, what happens now? In order to get this on, you need to use something like a shock mount. Voila. This is a universal shock mount for specific sizes of microphones. Universal meaning that it fits any microphone within a certain size. This was from Amazon for about £8. And what you do is you place the microphone inside this. So any kind of floor movement or bashes of the stand, all of that vibration is absorbed with the small elastic bands that are in there because the microphone is suspended on those. So first of all, let's put this on. There we go, it's on. So now, put the microphone down like this. We can either put this upwards. Let's try and force this in. There we go. Now sometimes you'll see it like this. Other times you will see the microphone upside down. The main reason for this is that there is nothing below you if you're going to mic it up. If you're miking it on a straight stand, doing it like this, as long as you aren't doing choreography or anything like that while you're singing, this should be fine. The reason that you would have it upside down, like I mentioned before, is so there's no cabling around you. You can move around and the microphone is suspended above you, so all of this area is completely free. We're going to keep it like this for the moment. Another thing you might see with the use of microphones, normally condensers, is one of these. Pow. This is a pop filter or a pop shield. You can make these out of like wire hangers and tights. It's been done before, no one knows the difference, and it does the job. The point of this is to stop P's, T's and S's, plosives and sibilants, from getting to the microphone. That's the main reason. Another reason is to stop people spitting in your microphone. You will notice that this microphone has its own one built in. I'll just turn this so you can see that. You can see, look, it's got its own mesh one there. I'm not going to be using this one. I'm going to be using a dedicated pop shield for this. Now, I've spoken to you about the reasons that most people use this, like the actual technical reason. P's, T's and S's, plosives, people spitting in your expensive microphone. The other reason is to create distance. So let me show you how this works. So here we have the pop shield. What I can do is place it like this. Maybe, there we go. Now, this is not only going to stop P's, T's and S's, this is also going to stop the vocalist getting too close to the microphone. A good rule of thumb is to have around about 4 inches. It differs depending on different engineers say different things. Some say 6 inches, some say 2 inches. I believe 2 is far too close, but 4 inches away. This means that the vocalist can get right up to the pop shield and still be far enough away from the microphone in order to not build proximity. One good tip is to have the microphone slightly higher than you would want it, facing down towards your chin. Now, the reason for this is that your vocal is going in at an angle to the microphone. It is not hitting the diaphragm head on, which means less plosive effect. One cheaper way of doing this years ago was to put a pencil straight down the center and sellotape it round, or rubber band it around the diaphragm. This would mean that no frequencies or no volume of your voice, no vibrations, would go straight into the center of the diaphragm. It would be refracted out away from the diaphragm. You would still hear the sound, but you wouldn't get the deep plosive P's, T's, F's, S's and so on, K's, stuff like that. So an ideal setup for someone my size with a microphone like this would be something like this, maybe a little bit lower. So I'm just about talking over the top of the microphone to the top of the mic, using myself a pop shield here. It's got a fair distance, maybe 3 to 4 inches away from the actual diaphragm. Now I can sing into the microphone. I know that I'm going to be getting the desired frequency response of that microphone, and everything should sound sweet. Now, the pop shield for a condenser microphone is pretty much the same as the Afro for a dynamic microphone. It does pretty much the same thing. Stops people spitting actually in it. I mean, you could probably do much worse to this and it will still just stand there and be like, what? Just what? So that brings us to the end of this Tech Corner video, all about microphones. What one are you? Are you dynamic or are you condenser? The one thing that I can tell you is that you need to try these things out. Now remember, the ACM studios are open for you to book, and there's a range of microphones there for you to use. Also, you can get downtime here. So make sure you get in contact with Metropolis to find out the earliest date you can get some downtime. Book the studio, come in, try some microphones. Certain people sound good on certain microphones, and the only way to know that is to really try them. But to start with, if you're a vocalist, I can definitely vouch for a condenser microphone. You don't have to spend crazy money. Anywhere between the £100 to £200 mark, you can get an extremely good, clear, open, characterful condenser microphone that is a cardioid pattern specifically for vocals. So once again, I'll see you next time.